All right, so we are here live at the Phoenix Rising podcast. The first one, but also at the very end. Unfortunate, but things do happen. I do have it all under control. It's new, as you guys can see. I do have the whole winning champions here of the Winter Split from the Novice League. That is Smash Bar themselves. How are you guys doing so far? I mean, it's after season. We're in the off season. How are you guys doing so far?
I'm doing great. 2 days ago, I hit my diamond promos. I still haven't played them yet because I'm too scared. But finally, like I was saying, it was my last novice, so I'm super happy to be climbing again. But I don't know. I'm just super happy that I finally got that win. Oh,
We're just big chilling, you know. I mean, we're the
Just been
champions.
vacationing. I have a lot of free time now, so I've been just exploring different places all over the place.
Free time.
I know, right? Crazy.
what is free time?
Yeah, instead of playing 13 games a day.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Is there really not any free time for you all? You guys are all college students, or?
Yeah, I mean, I work a lot.
Yeah, finding time to play was pretty difficult, especially on my 3-hour time difference from everyone else. Like everyone else would want to do certain practice at certain times, and I'd be like, well, that's like right when I need to eat dinner. So it was like the worst, and sometimes it was like I was in the middle of doing class. So it was a little rough this last split. I'm surprised we did as well as we did with how little free time we had, and with the time difference.
Did you guys have more time before this season?
Not really. I don't think so.
I would say, I would say so, because we didn't have, like, I think before the season, or like when the season started, school just started. So it wasn't that big of a pressure. But now, in the middle of the season, like near the finals, that's correct, near the finals, it got so tough. Like the exams came up, homework got like tripled, and it was incredibly tough to manage all that.
Yeah, I bet it was. How about you, Majnu? How was it for you?
I think I have a lot of free time right now. I mean, I am just starting my job now, but like, I literally had every single day from like morning till 3 and then 5 till night. So, I mean, I had plenty of time to play. That didn't stop me from getting suspended, but
From not playing your ranked games when you made us all freak out in week 7.
still didn't do that, but
Oh my goodness. So I guess a small amount of off season for you all, huh? So I guess in short, but you know, what were some of the things that you all wanted to do first after becoming champions?
I wanted to at Neon Fire in the banter channel and say we did it. That's what I want to do, because he really trash talked us so hard last time when we lost in finals. I haven't done it yet because I want my my Discord role, like the primary Discord role, to be the novice champions. That's what I want first, and then at him be like, "Ha, screw you, man. We finally did it." That's what I want so bad, because he trash talked us so hard. I don't know. That was my one and only goal after we finished.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that I was gonna have a lot more free time. I wouldn't have to worry about like just grinding games, getting good at every jungle position, because I had a lot of pressure on me in like all these games. So I had to make sure I was at like tip-top shape. So I was able to finally get out and explore and go on vacation with family, because I had to tell my family a lot of no's to just go out with them. So it was nice. I kind of felt good, but I feel really rusty at the game now, so I don't know how good that is.
He needs his 10 warm-up games.
Yeah, I need my warm-up
BS on Picky.
I need my warm-up games. Yeah, we have an ongoing joke where, like, when I play my first game of the day, I start at a bronze level, and then I work my way up to my rank. Each game is a step up LP gain.
How about you, Zyra? What was the first few things that you did after becoming champion?
I mean, I just talked to my cousin, who's my support, you know. I think the day after I took him out to eat, but yeah, we just celebrated. Our synergy was in tip-top shape, and because of him, we got a lot of stuff done, and we just felt good about it.
We love you, TJ.
And how about you, Majnu? What'd you do?
Nothing.
Yeah, he's pretty lame. Waited for
for Samir to give me my money
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. Give me
where
my
is the
money.
Okay, yeah, I'll get that
Yeah, I'll
done
get back
soon,
to you.
guys.
I'll get
Yeah,
back.
I'll get that done soon,
I'll
guys.
go back to you all after the stock markets go back up, you know. Like I did the same thing too, Grant. Like I started hanging out with family. I went to birthday parties, you know. I actually thought I was gonna go to one, but there was about 3 actually in the week, so I was like, oh crap, that's what I gotta do. So I did a lot of outside, not exploring, really just thinking about what I wanted to do for next season for everyone, because there is definitely going to be a lot more work on my plate, but you know, I think overall it'll be 100% worth it. But you know, tell me about more of those challenges that you were saying earlier from here, Jermican. So, you know, were challenges different from this winter split in comparison to other splits, while getting into like any of the playoff run or even just becoming the champions that you guys are now?
I feel like at least like the normal season run, that was like most of us had just started school, and like we said earlier, it was actually pretty nice at the start of the season because we were only doing the one tournament and that's all we had to do. The drafts were fairly normal back then. There wasn't Udyr yet. And there wasn't I don't think the chem tank had been changed yet. So like all those junglers now that you see hadn't been like super meta yet. So like drafts were fairly normal. We were running the Ivern a lot. So it's like we were super used to all that kind of stuff. So it wasn't that difficult. But then like towards the end of the split, I started I'm still part of EQ. So I joined their BOL team and we've been doing that as well, which was it was a bit rough doing drafts for them and drafts for Smashburn at the same time because we just have different play styles and we have different ways to go about certain things, and we just play in different we play for different lanes. So it was a bit difficult, and I was starting to get a bit jumbled towards the end because I'd do one practice scrim with EQ Storm, and then we would do really well, and then I'd do a practice scrim with Smash Barn, and then we would do super well, and then I would go back to EQ, and then I just wouldn't do well. So it was starting to get really difficult doing 2 different tournaments at the same time towards the end, and I'm just kind of glad it's over and that we actually did fairly well because we put a lot of time in the last week into like draft plans and all that kind of stuff for that final match, and I was super happy that we did well because I literally like just every single day was just running every single scenario that we could possibly run against DCA, and I'm just super happy we won.
How about you, Grant? How was it? Any challenges that you had maybe faced differently from other seasons to this one?
Yeah, I mean, with the new changes to jungle, I mean, you can't really just farm. I mean, you can farm, but then they nerfed it towards the end, so they kind of it changed your mindset on how you want to jungle. You can't just farm the entire time and then not gank. And even if you decide to gank, you have to consider: is the enemy jungle there? Can you win the 1v1? Can you win the 1v2 or the 2v2? Can you win the 3v3? I mean, there's a lot of scenarios you have to think about, and even like the smallest mistakes in the current meta can lead to snowball, and games can just like that. I mean, as you saw, like most of our games towards the beginning were like 20 minutes because we'd be able to capitalize on one small mistake and then boom, game was over. Rift Herald pushed, game over. And even with like the top tier teams, it was the same case. Like it's not like a skill level or anything like that. I just think it's just it's just all quick decision making. If you're not on top of that, especially as a jungler, the game just swings the opposite way.
Cyrell, how about you?
I mean, yeah, I agree to most what Pinky said. But I mean, later in the game too, it was really pop stompy. Like 17-minute win against Operation Red Raven. Pretty sure no team has ever won that quickly in a playoffs game. So, well, that. But throughout the season, as an ADC player, I had to get accustomed to meta changes and just learn about the game in general. Because at first, I had no clue. I was very clueless. I'm pretty sure I was like plat 3. I had a 38% win rate. Stuck. I was so stuck. I was losing every game because I had just no concept on how the game works. But I think I took like days and like weeks of just learning the game, watching videos, watching like pro play, just getting coaching. It's just that all accumulated into and also dueling ritual that just accumulated into us being best bot lane. Yeah, I'm not afraid to say it. We're the best bot lane.
Maj?
I think the biggest challenge for me was just I had to like ditch a lot of my old champions that I used to play in previous seasons just because this season they weren't that good. And so like I mean the only reason I ended up playing Corki so much is we were playing a custom one day and I randomly got picked Corki against Germankin top and I just like absolutely shat on him. And I was just like, wow, maybe Corki's actually kind of good. And then so since that day I just like started playing the heck out of Corki. And then same with like Victor. And I've always played Anivia but like just learning those champions more was probably the bigger challenge because I mean I would say that like me and Grant are two of our stronger players overall, so like there was only so much more for us to grow compared to where we were like with the rest, but I mean we always could grow as a team, so that was another challenge too.
Crazy
really
how
helped.
you mentioned the Corki too, right? Because you guys absolutely had a Corki pick almost every game versus Death Cards.
Yeah.
They just didn't
No,
respect it.
they
They
didn't
just
respect
didn't
it.
respect it.
That's something I did not understand throughout the entire PRL split. Nobody banned Corki. I played Anivia like the first 2 or 3 games of PRL, and it was permabanned ever since. Corki, never. And every single game, if you look at the damage charts on all of those games, I was consistently 30 to 40,000 damage, and everyone else was like 20,000 and under.
Not
So
even
I just don't understand why they didn't ban it, but like free
Yeah,
wins, I guess.
It's crazy that he got the Corki because it's one of the only champions that has an escape. So if he ends up teleporting in the middle of the lane in front of an Orianna and the enemy jungle, he can at least get away.
Whoa, that's some slander.
Gravity field and
This is-
he's good to go. He's good to go.
Yeah, the one game we lost, it's my fault, guys.
I mean, obviously, you didn't pop up.
Yeah, it was not the Gragas running it down bot lane, you know.
Listen, Trillius Gragas is real, okay? It's it was a limit test game, okay?
Oh man.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Also, some of the changes too, right? Like you were mentioning, Zyro, so there are some even more new changes coming up too, right? So, I don't know if they're gonna keep like, or if Riot's gonna get a hit on Corki at all for Majnu, but even if they were changes, like you guys are gonna stay up to date, aren't you? I mean, I know. Wait, is it a fact that you guys aren't coming back next season?
Yeah, we're not coming back.
Yeah, next season. I mean, if we were to come back at this point, like I said, I just hit my promos. We would have to go to Academy at this point.
Yeah.
Because if we were to keep the same team at least, unless they wanted to find I don't know, maybe sub in Marshall. How dare you?
How many of you hit Diamond after?
So far, I think I'm the only one who's hit.
Yeah, I'm very close. I think I'm like.
I think Majnu, you're pretty close too. You're in plat 1.
I'm at like plat 1 or plat 2 something.
Yeah, we're all pretty close. Well, actually, not me. I think I'm plat 3 or something. But
Ritual is very close too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think he was the highest ranked member going into playoffs on our team.
I mean, he was just disrespected the entirety of playoffs.
Yeah, he was putting like number 6 on the player
Not
rankings.
even playoffs, like the entirety of the season, he was disrespected. But like he was the best player, one of our best players.
And then Grant, what Grant said about too, that aggression that you guys have. I actually have that feeling too. I mean, there is a thing that people's been saying about don't take first inhibitor too early. In my ranked solo queues, I literally smash Rift Herald into inhibitors as soon as possible. Like, but that's not because of the case of me leaving the inhibitor up. If there is a chance that I can break the inhib and maybe a couple of Nexus towers, I'm going for it, and that's exactly what happens in that kind of solo queue game. And that's exactly what you guys did too, which is not respected. I mean, you think that when you get that kind of information where you're all like, oh, after they slam our inhibitor, they're going to stop and then we're going to get free waves. The thing is that they didn't stop to think that after that slam and after the destruction of like any of the inhibitors, either mid, which is actually the fastest, or the side lanes, they don't really expect, because they don't have the experience of suddenly this team is rushing up to win. So you might have caught them off guard, and you did, right? I think there was a player that was still kind of pushing a side lane because they thought, or maybe he thought, or he or she thought you know, you were gonna stop at the inhib, but then you guys didn't. You guys kept on going, and there were a couple of backs, and the regrouping was very slow. You know, it totally catches some of the players off, but I really did like the aggression that you guys all did. I mean, really, I don't know, like, what made you guys even just play the aggression that much? You know, is it just like that's just how some of the pro players that you see take an opportunity?
Yeah.
I think that's just the game state as it is now. Like,
I mean, it's
late
mostly
game scalers
also,
just aren't really that good, in my opinion. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we, me and Ritual, and I would say the entire team has researched and watched a lot of VODs on like actual pro games and how they manage around putting pressure in games. And it was just like comments. It was a trend we've seen in almost all the games on what they have done. In those games we've seen compared to the games we played, it was a night and day difference. And we see the teams that we went against just not do the same thing. They don't put pressure in any lane. They don't make. I mean, I don't want to BM or anything, but they just don't make smart choices when it comes of macro. There was barely any teams that did any smart macro play. I think we just took so advantage of that.
It's not even BM at all. I mean, it's a golden plat league. You know, it's that time for progression. It's a tournament that kind of gets you to find your development point or your determination into playing the game even more, and just pretty much personally, you know, living up far of your own expectations, right? Like living up to ambition. That's what normal tournaments are supposed to be doing, I guess, or what we're supposed to be doing. It's supposed to bring out that spark again as to why you're playing League of Legends, right?
I mean, and to kind of like tie everything together, also like to recognize like the opportunities to be able to say, oh, hey, we can use this Rift Trail to, you know, break this, or we can just end the game.
Exactly.
It's a common trend between our team. Like, we always talk about, can we end the game now? Can we end the game now? Because we like our philosophy is if you build a lead and you're able to wrap the game up without, you know, giving the enemy any sort of chance of coming back, then you definitely take it. And I mean, risks are definitely involved because I feel like towards the beginning of the season and even prior, we were more passive. We would build massive leads, and then we wouldn't really do a whole lot with it. We would be like, oh, we should do this, this, and this. And, you know, somehow games would drag on, and then the enemy would, you know, build up a farm lead or some other lead. And I think, you know, just collectively just playing together, playing our solo queue games, and then just kind of just understanding that, you know, with this lead, what can we actually do? Do we need to do all this, or can we just skip everything and then just get straight to, you know, the objective of the game, which is, you know, destroy the Nexus?
Yeah, I mean, like having a lead, like if you have a lead, you should always look to pick a fight. And if they try and do anything, they're just gonna lose, and you're just gonna win the game. Like, we know when we have a lead, and we knew how to press that lead every single game.
And you have to.
Yeah, I think that was a really important part throughout our split. I think it was actually just halfway through, and it was one of the games we played. Grant had made a call. It was, I think, 21 minutes in the game. We had 3 Drakes and Baron was up, and he made a call. We should do Baron. And I was kind of like, you know, resisting the Baron play a little bit because I'm like, oh, it's a 20-minute Baron. You know, you don't normally see teams do that. So I resisted. And then, you know, we ended up getting caught because we were arguing rather than actually just playing. And then we ended up doing Drake, and then we do Baron, and then we won. But then after that game, we really just, I don't want to say like sat down as a team, but we kind of like all went over the game, did a VOD review after it, and just kind of thought like, why are we playing this game intentionally slow for no reason at all? Like, there's no reason. I feel like a lot of teams do this where they're just like, oh, this is what teams normally do, so we'll do it. We'll do it at this pace. We'll get first Baron at 26 minutes instead of getting at 20 minutes. Like, if you already have that 6k gold lead, you have 3 Drakes, you have vision in their entire jungle, just do it. Like, I do think the thing you said earlier about getting first inhib is kind of like a bait. It used to be true. But now with how mythic items work, the faster you get items, the more lead you get, because it makes your mythic item more and more overpowered. Like, the faster you can get that lead in the first place, the faster you can end games. So like, this philosophy of prior seasons where, you know, first inhib's bad, it just gives the enemy team time to farm, just isn't true anymore. Like, the faster you can get that lead, the faster like it just snowballs your own items into getting even more overpowered.
Yeah, and if you don't use No, you can definitely take what they do in pro play into that kind of playing of the same thing, right? Because what they do in professional as to why it's actually bad is because everyone comes back and they defend and they absolutely push the enemy team backwards in order to actually destroy or cancel out that major push. But what happened was that every time you guys did it, no one went back in time to cancel that push. So at that moment, you took your lead and you took it in stride without stopping, and they didn't expect it. So that's what happens.
I think we recognized when it was a good idea to take the inhibitor and when it wasn't a good inhibitor, like a good chance. Because like we would say, if we take this inhibitor, is there potential that we can come back, push for more, and not end the game per se, but put the enemy more behind. Because if we just leave that inhibitor open and then we go into our jungle or we go back to our lanes, we just start farming, then the whole point of that inhibitor is gone, because that wave is now pushed into the enemy and they can just free farm, get experience, do whatever they need to do, get items, and then come back in the game.
And that's the thing that can go bad, but that's the thing that you guys didn't let happen at all. The moment you guys knew that you could do it, you did it, and that's exactly what happens. And they do it in pro play a lot too. In professionals, all of a sudden it's a nice slow game all the way to 17 minutes, and then all of a sudden 20-minute game. It's like, what happened in those 3 minutes? That's what they do. It's like, oh, can we act like you guys are thinking it out loud too already, right? Where you guys are like, oh, can we actually end here? And honestly, that's just hard punish, for the entirety of any team out there that needs to absolutely recognize that is an absolute strategy of what's going on recently here. I mean, we could take it to your guys' point all the time. I see it a lot in solo queue, or I just tell teams or ping them or whatever, because I've been playing recently too, so it's been pretty cool this season. Mythic items are very strong too, to be honest. I mean, like every legendary item, which actually includes the boots, right? When you finish your boots, I believe. No,
they don't.
It's an ARAM. No. It's the ARAM starter item that counts as a legendary. That's what it is.
Okay. But there was a shift too, right? Everyone would focus on their mythic item first, but now what I'm seeing is everyone's focusing on completing their boots first for some reason. I don't know if you guys have transitioned to that or seen that
that's
before.
Just lucidity boots.
I think
that's lucidity boots are overpowered.
Yeah, for bot lane, it's not sure lucidity boots is good, but like if the enemy team has skill shots or any skill shots, or you have 1100 gold sitting around, you always want to get boots first. I mean, they just help you dodge and chase way better and position yourself way better in team fights.
Did you do that? Did any of you guys do that?
Multiple times.
You rush. I mean, move speed is like one of the most underrated stats in the game. Like, for example, Udyr and Hecarim. Why did they blow up? Because of move speed items. Yeah. Like, move speed is a stat that everyone sleeps on, and when it's overpowered, it's completely unstoppable. And that's why this season boots were a really big rush, especially lucidity boots, because Riot doesn't know what they're doing and they way overbuff that item.
Nerf.
Yeah, please nerf lucidity boots.
Please nerf. It's so annoying, man.
Yeah, move speed is just definitely really good.
If you also look at it, like look at the support meta. Like Enchanter supports were really strong, and they still are. But the meta's also shifted to more roam supports, where they'll also rush, maybe like like lucidity boots or something, and they want to go to, or not lucidity boots, they'll go either boots of Mobo. I think some still go boots of lucidity, but they'll just roam a lot. Like that's the meta, where you just want to be able to get from point A to point B to point C with your jungle. Like the support comes with Rel, Braum, Alistar, maybe not Braum, Bard. I'd say Bard, Rel, and Alistar. And you just gank multiple lanes. You just leave lanes and you gank. You team up with the jungle, and games are just so fast paced because of that.
I mean, wave timers and wave management is also important too. I mean, a lot of these teams, like I said, don't have BM, but they had no concept of wave management and wave recall timers. Like, it was tough to watch and play against a lot of these teams who back before a dragon fight, or who don't back when dragon is spawning. So they're either missing out on items that they can buy, or they're just not there for the fight. It was just so weird to see these teams in some games.
Yeah, I think that was one of our strengths as a team.
Yeah.
We each knew how our lane worked. We each knew how the lanes worked later in the game, which is even more important. Like, knowing how to play around a dragon and a baron, and like knowing that you need to have those side lanes pushed out so that the team has to either check Baron and fight or farm the wave. But if they check Baron, then they lose out on like 600 gold of minions every time they do that. So like, I think pressure was the name of our game. Like we literally did everything we could to just pressure a side lane, pressure a mid lane, pressure in the jungle, scuttle, make it so they have to pick and choose what gold they want to try to get. And in that process, that's how we built our lead. Half the time we didn't even need to get the kills. Those would just be like a side effect. I think a lot of our games, if it was 0 kills to 0 kills, we could still build at least a 5k gold lead in like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if the enemy jungle shows bot lane and we know that his top camps are up, and I can freely go there if I'm in the top area. Literally micro decisions, like you said.
Yeah, no, I think that was something really strong was our play around the jungle. Like I know in the finals, I literally when I played as Vel'Koz one game or something, I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna sit here, I'm gonna shove these 3 waves, and I'm just gonna go ward the jungle every time I can and just walk around with you. And like doing that just opens up the map for our jungle so much. And then in that we already started snowballing without even having to do anything.
Yeah, I remember that too. Even our caster was like talking about that as well, where it's all like it's more like babysitting the jungler, just going wherever he roams. But at the same time, it's freaking Vel'Koz. Like he's just gonna instant pop you with his passive and his combo and the true damage. Like it's such a very like it's such a strange thing because you could be at full health. And in the moment you make your split decision, and if it was a mistake, you're instantly like 0 HP. And then after that, they can't do anything. Like they're just really spreading around, looking to see if they could push their wave up or whatever it is. But like how the jungle meta has changed, like what Grant McDonald was talking about, was that farm could be very important, but also not so important. But I think farm is very important when it comes down to when your farm is being taken away without any response right back. So if there wasn't any clear response, their jungler is just like useless, but
yeah, I mean, talking about that, there used to be a time when Grant would go in and invade. He wouldn't tell us anything.
God,
he wouldn't he wouldn't do anything to let us know, and then he would just die.
Whoa.
He would just die.
And then we would just be like, what the heck was that? And now we got to a point where it's just like we had to like put some handcuffs on him, and then he's just like, all right, we're gonna go through a checklist every time you want to invade. Is mid pushed? And do I have prio? Does top have prio? Does bot have prio? And then like once we did that, every time that he invaded or wanted to do something in the other jungle, we were always ready, and then we just always won the fight. Yeah. Like every single time it always went in our favor. And then by that would give me a 2-0 lead on a Corki. And then, like, what are they supposed to do? I hit my 6, I hit my Manamune, and then it's just, like, that one play can win us the game like that.
Yeah,
I had a lot to learn in the jungle.
And it's so strange, though, like I, because you're thinking about clearing the wave, but the thing is that you also have to think about how fast you're going to do it. If it's not fast enough, then either you're losing the wave or you're losing a teammate because he's going to be losing a lot more than just like the 1 or 2 waves that you're probably dealing with, but
yeah, I mean, there was a lot of talks going around saying that we were good macro wise, but not individually. But like in lanes, we were so dominant that we had it shoved every single time, and we helped our jungler. We knew wave management, we knew wave control. I just don't understand how that is not individual skill.
Well, I really think I think a big reason why people are saying that is because they're all performance based on their analysis. Like we understand as a team that not every lane needs to win. Like you don't need top to bot every single lane winning. Like sometimes in a game it's better to intentionally sack a lane, and we did this so often where sometimes we'd be bot lane and then we'd carry through top and mid, and sometimes it'd be top lane where we would sack, and we wouldn't put any resources there, because if you're putting resources in every single lane, you end up more starved than if you focus like in one specific spot. And so many teams either like in response to that would like try and do certain things, like one lane would get camped in response, but it just wouldn't be as big of an impact. But I think that was like one of the big reasons why everyone's like, oh, they're not individually good, because in every game this one lane doesn't carry, or this one lane doesn't always do well. And it's like, it wasn't necessarily that we couldn't do well, it's that we, it put a giant target on your back if we're intentionally sacking a lane because we have a certain strategy for that game, and then you start doing too well, and now like it's just free shutdown gold. Like, I don't know, there are some times when we would have to just lose a matchup because of draft, but like some teams, like they would just refuse to see that, that was our plan all along. Top doesn't always have to win, bot doesn't always have to win, but like right now in the game, the jungle and mid were always strong, and that's why almost every single game we would either blind something that Majnu was confident in blinding that he would not lose on, or we would just completely like sack some lane to get those leads in the jungle or in mid. I don't know why teams always think that, in the power rankings, this one player has to do the best always. I think that's a big reason why Ritual was never ranked very highly. He wouldn't always do the plays that people, wanted to see, the big flashy plays, but he would always do the right play when the time came. I think that was the big part on why we never were like appreciated for player skill. And everyone's like, oh, it's just our macro, but it's like, doesn't player skill play into macro as a team? That's just one of the things that is hilarious.
It's competitive as well too, right? Like you win as a team, and that's it. Like that's the bottom line. I think what maybe they could be talking about in the solo queue wise is that once you reach to like that diamond level, like anyone that's been diamond for like the past few years might have that kind of solo queue, or sorry, that solo individual advantage in that laning phase, because it's kind of like the Mike Tyson phrase, right, where it says that you have a plan until you punch them in the face or something like that, right? So if you have a plan but you get punched in lane, like it's kind of like, oh well, I guess we don't actually have a plan anymore. It's not possible, right? But that's leads on to a different skill set. For right now, the skill set of a golden plat is to find like that kind of synergy as a team and win as a team and just learn as a team too.
Yeah, I think what you're saying kind of also leads into like getting like not having that plan after something goes wrong in the game. I think that was something else that we really shined with. There would be so many scrims and flex games that we played where we all lost lane or something. Like it was 2-10 at 12 minutes in the game, but then we all took a breath and we're like, okay, what do we actually have to do to win this game? And then we like reset our priorities mid game during like big fights and things, and then we just come back and sweep. Like I remember a couple of specific games, I think they were scrims, that looking at the graphs afterwards, we were down 7k gold at like 25 minutes, and then we literally won in 2 minutes after that point. Like,
yeah,
once we figured out what we needed to do as a team behind, it was just another easy win, as if we were playing like we were ahead. Like us playing behind was almost as if we were just playing even. It felt like.
I think a lot of teams didn't anticipate that either. Death Cards, especially in the game 2 of finals, I don't think they were ready for us to like have a plan after that really, really bad early game.
Early. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah, no.
Solo lanes were dying, bad TPs, just bad calls.
It was so bad.
Like after that, like as a team, it wasn't just like, I feel like since I played for other teams before, normally when something like that happens, either the team tilts and they're already almost thinking about next game, or they're just like, okay, we farm waves and we give everything. We farm waves, we give everything. They don't like plan out longer than the next 2 minutes ahead. And that's what we did, because in that game we had decided what drakes, what objectives we wanted to forfeit. And then, we would try and think of a time when we would hit a spike on our individual champions to finally be able to come back in that game. And I feel like 99% of the league didn't do that, and it was so satisfying when the enemy team had that 3-0 Kassadin. They're like, oh, we just auto win these fights, and then they get aced, and they're like, wait, what just happened? We lost the dragon, we got aced, we were up 5k gold. How did that happen?
Kassadin without Zonias, he had no safety precaution for we just picked on him because he just didn't have Zonias. He didn't have an invincibility move.
Yeah, his build path was a little rough there. I mean, just to add on to what Chad was saying, the like in terms of like objectives, I mean, I think most teams, I mean, maybe some teams understand it. It's not always a Dragon Soul win. Sometimes it's double Rift Herald, or maybe 1 or 2 dragons. You don't always have to get the dragon. If you get the first dragon, you get the first Rift Herald, and you're able to use it to get a tower. I mean, it's just so much more beneficial because you're only losing 1 tower in order to get massive tempo and gold for the rest of the team. Like, you just got to look at the game kind of differently than what it was. I think last season, where last season it was just like, oh, you have to get all 4 dragons. Every dragon's important. Dragon, elemental dragon, and then elder dragon. You win the game. It's just, the meta's just so quick and so diverse now, I'd say. You can't just do one or the other.
That was a big shift in our play style from when we used to play like maybe a year ago compared to now. Like, we never used to go for Rift Heralds. And I always know Brendan or Jermican was always complaining. He's like, guys, they just got Rift. They're gonna dive me top.
Wasn't it 1 Rift Herald at first?
It's been 2 since the start of last season.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beginning of last season, they made the top teleport change, and they made the top Rift Herald where it spawns twice.
Yeah. I remember that when it was only 1 Rift Herald, and then the second was stronger, but the second one was a complete buff. That's the one that you use to end your games quick rather than the first one. So I do like that change though, because it does punish teams for not respecting like their own recalls and their own ability to come back up as a group, as a team. If you guys cannot group up as a team, I mean, you deserve to lose in like 20 minutes or something like that, right? But then for those that are climbing and gaining up, and also like been willing to work as a team or as a group in that project, I mean, it really helps out and boosts a lot of that kind of rating. But also in competitive, it's a lot more dangerous than it is in solo queue. Like, it really is, Well, also, I wanted to say though, is that if you guys had any insights for any teams out there, I mean, did you guys even go against some of the teams that you would still respect till today?
Yeah, I mean, we went against Death Cards. I always thought that they were good. I had respect for their team. I had respect for Costa Luna. I was sad we could never play against them. Eclipse was a bit rough. I know a lot of people now are saying that the skill difference between the teams was really close, and that's why it seemed like that they were the best division, because they were all similar in skill. I mean, we had a lot of scrims against Eclipse teams. The only one we lost, we trolled. We don't need to talk. Yeah, we don't need to talk too much about what happened, but we may or may not have in a 40-minute game decided to not buy QSS against the Skarner. That may or may not have happened.
Oh,
Aurelia.
I wonder why.
Base in front of Aurelia for BM.
Yeah, there were quite a few things with Eclipse that were some memes, but I don't know. I feel bad saying that I didn't think that there were any real threats from Eclipse, because some of my favorite players were from Eclipse, but I would say the only teams that I really had like a fear for playing in playoffs was probably Scoreboard, because everyone slept on them, and I thought that Pump My Veins was OP, and I thought Luna was scary because they had a similar game record, and then Death Cards. That was pretty much it, because at least after MG Nightmare had their mishap against Iceborne, it was kind of a bit unfortunate. Like, I don't know what happened with their team. It seems like they kind of just fell apart, but I don't know. I think those are like pretty much the only few teams that I was actually scared of and like really respected. I think that a big tip for them though, that I would give, is play warm-up games before you play, because Death Cards played 1 ARAM before finals with us. They played 1 warm-up game on ARAM, and it was 20 minutes long. I think we got disrespected a little bit too hard on that. So that's what I would say.
On that day, I remember there being like 3 or 4 of us on at like 2:00. It's 6 hours before our games even start, and we're like, all right, let's start warming up now. Like, we're gonna start playing all day. By the time we hit that point, it's just gonna be like another solo queue game.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was
especially Grant, who had to start playing it.
Yeah, he's got to start playing the next day.
Real early to get that 10 game win streak bonus going on. Let's rub off on me. It's a bonus. It's a
That's
special buff that I get.
crazy.
When the warm-up games hit, that's a little meme we got going on.
It's the Ram Ranch buff.
Yeah.
Comes in clutch.
I mean, to tie everything back, it's just like we made it almost impossible for a team to win against us. I mean, if you see the Operation Red Raven, it's a meme, but the third game, it should not have taken them around 40 minutes to beat us. We played so poorly.
Our draft was so bad that game.
Yeah, it still took them 40 whole minutes to actually win the game against us. Which I think we just do a really good job of playing from behind and just making sure teams don't get an easy win.
Okay, what about some of the players that, looked good to you all? Like, how'd you feel about some of the players this season? I mean, it's definitely not the same. There are a couple of returning players, but there's been new ones too.
I mean, I definitely think Banana Uyu, although he claims that he didn't, kind of elo sat because he hit during playoffs. He hit D3 with like a 70% win rate. I think that man was way too good, and it was unfortunate. I think he was on the wrong team, and I don't know. I did hear some when their game couldn't be streamed, they streamed it themselves with a small delay. Seems like he has a bit of a tilt issue. And that's especially why we tried to capitalize on that. We had a sleeper agent in Twitch chat during our finals. I don't know if you saw, who kept trying to tilt Banana Uyu, and I think that's why we started doing so well. The sixth member of Smash Barn.
Brown Bear 5.
I mean, he watches all of our games and supports us every single time. So he's actually the sixth man of the team. Like, no meme at all.
Yeah. I do think that there's a distinction to be made with solo queue skill and team play skill, because I definitely think that Banana Uyu in solo queue was probably the best in the league, because I mean he proved it. He hit Diamond 3 in playoffs, but I do think it takes like an extra level to actually be able to use that solo queue skill properly in a team. And I think that some of the teams that did that well were I think Scoreboard did that really well, because I don't think they necessarily had very high member or ranked members. I think their highest was Pump My Veins, and he was only Plat 1. But that team was so scary. Like, I was actually I memed about it, how I wanted the SB versus SB finals. But I think that team was really, really strong. And like from halfway through the season, when they finally made their roster swap, that's when I was like exclusively watching their games on Tuesdays. And I think that they were the most slept on team throughout the entire split. How no one talked about them. I mean, they dominated the third place match. I don't know how many people had seen that. That was just kind of insane to me. And they were like massively slept on. I think that was, in my opinion, one of the best player skill teams outside of solo queue. And those, I think all 5 of those players, what is it? Money Bulldozer. And then there was Willendis and Pump My Veins. I can't remember the support's name.
Is it Mundafu? Yeah, it's
Mundafu.
Mundafu.
Yeah.
I think that they definitely were like the top of the list for like players in the league. I don't know. They were just like crazy after their roster swap.
I heard some sort of like meme where like if they play really well if they're not too drunk or something. Something along the lines of that. I don't know where I heard that, but
or maybe they don't play well unless they're drunk. I don't know.
Maybe that's what it was. Either one.
Or maybe they play extra well if their support goes to Blanc mid lane,
True.
Oh god.
True. Gosh, no.
Too soon.
I mean, I want to shout out, I guess, Matsy. I mean, I think he's the most improved. He kind of reminds me of how I started off last season in PRL. I even told him that. Like,
God, Pinky, come on, bro.
Even though you were like, gold last time.
I'm like,
I mean, no, listen. This guy has improved a lot. Like, I remember, like, watching Death Cards like in the initial phase, and then as he's gone on, like his champ pool is very scary, and he knows how to play like a ton of champs. I mean, I'm sure his pool is gonna get bigger as the next season comes around. I hope he does come back to play. I mean, I'm gonna support my boy, but I think Matsu was probably one of the better junglers that I went up against in my time. Like I think he knew what he was doing for the most part.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I'll go. I guess the Dog Boys, Oshi and them, hopefully they have some really nice teams and games going ahead. I hope they make it far. I mean, the playoff games show they're a pretty good team when they're coordinated. If anything falls apart, is what they need to work on. Other than that, I don't know what happened to TNO, if they're still together or something. But the new Costa team, if there's a new Costa team, I don't know what happened to the old Costa team. There's just a lot of good teams that were their last split might or should return, like the Costa Luna Dog and stuff.
Costa Aqua.
Majno, how about you? Any players that you would probably respect during in your split?
It's time for the BM.
I don't know. Like Brendan, or I keep German Can's Brendan. I always call him Brendan.
It's all right.
Wait, what?
But, like, he says that like Banana's this like really good player and stuff. I mean, like, I think it comes back down to like the solo queue, like the difference between a solo queue player and a competitive player. I think that there was probably a lot of really good solo queue players in PRL. I think like most people are fine in that aspect. When it comes down to competitive player wise, I really don't feel like the mid laners shown that well.
Yeah,
Like,
no one had
I don't
I agree.
I don't think I saw that many people making like really good plays
helper
for their
plays into the middle
jungle
lane.
or we're being serious now, Pinky.
Alright, fine.
No, I
I-
definitely agree with Majnu. Yeah, like there's barely any mid laners that actually actively roams around and helps the jungler. Majnu
What-
was the only one that did the entire split.
What I've
That's
seen
why
is
I feel
most
like
people will play for the mid lane. Well, they'll try to donate a bunch of stuff to the mid lane and hope that no, I'm being serious. Like we'll try to give like the mid lane a way to carry, but the mid lane usually just sits in their lane. They rarely roam and expand their lead if they do get one from the jungle. I mean, Majnu does like you said, he does a fantastic job of one building his lead, and then I'll help every now and then, but he'll help me more than I need to. For example, if I'm ganking bot lane, he's not afraid to just push his lane and just go top lane and help a lane that I'm not able to access at the time. He's basically a second jungle for me, which I don't see most mid lanes do.
It's
It is
kind of like
so
a running
helpful.
joke that I gank top more than
Yeah,
he
literally.
does.
Yeah, no, he does. He does.
Like I
Makes sense.
I'm kind of like what he was saying. A lot of mid laners kind of just like to sit around mid and try to like they'll get resources pumped into them. I feel like our team was just really good at going around the map and helping each other, and through that, like I didn't need to try to like sit mid and get solo kills, and I feel like that kind of attracted some attention from like other people in the league. They're like, oh, that's why they're not really good at like they're not really good solo laners, or they're not that strong individually. But like that's because I don't feel like that was ever my goal, was to just sit there and try to win my lane on my own. I would much rather, like, as Corky, get to my first item, go back, grab package, and then just go camp top as our jungle camps bot. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
I-
about.
like it's so much better as a team for me to just use my power elsewhere instead of them using their power on me. And in that process, then we all get stronger, not just me. Otherwise, like our jungle would have to give up camps or pressure in bot. I know it was kind of something we were talking about earlier, like we'll intentionally sack a lane. I think that German can, like we saw that in some of our scrims and games where he would just pick Pantheon or someone, and then he'd just like, okay, I have ult in 140 seconds. I'm gonna ult mid on cooldown, like no matter what, and we're just gonna kill him, and I'm gonna go back top, and we're just gonna keep doing that like forever and forever. And so he would be down 60, 70 CS, and towards the end of the game, it'd be like both top laners would have 130, and like that's what we needed to do sometimes, and we would just create these buko bunga leads everywhere else.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
I don't know, some fun words.
Uka Banga, got you.
Without giving away a lot of your secrets, or maybe you just want to give it away all now, what advice would you be giving to other teams?
Watch your own VODs. That's 100%.
Yeah, VOD reviews. The other team I've played for, EQ Storm. I'm sorry if you guys watch this and get mad at me for saying this, but you guys do not know how to admit mistakes. Oh my gosh, it is the worst when a team does something. They're like, just forget about it. Just forget about it. Let's act like it didn't happen. That's like one of the worst possible things you can do. And I can't really speak for all teams when I say this, but I feel like, having played for a team that isn't just my group of friends where we're okay with criticism.
Yeah.
Teams have to be okay with criticism. Like, you have to be able to tell your teammates in a non flaming manner. It's not like you're saying it maliciously, but you have to be able to tell your teammates when they've done something wrong and try and come up with ways that they should do something else instead. Because like, if you don't address mistakes that you make, how are you supposed to get better as a player? That's one of the big things that we took from our first split as Team Cosmic. How did we get 3-0'd by Iceborne Winners Q? Why did that happen? And we took that really to heart. And every single loss that we did in scrims this split, and every single time that we had a close game, we never were just like, oh, we won, we go next. We always went back and looked, what did we do wrong? Did we draft wrong? Or did we get greedy in lanes? Did we do something wrong here? Teams really have to understand to do that. I think that was a major flaw, that people would do the same exact mistakes, and we would know how to exploit those mistakes, whether that be player tilt, like we said with DCA, how we went into those matches knowing that chink in the armor. Like, we knew that if we had tilted one player on their team, their whole team play might fall apart. And in game 2, I really feel like that ended up happening. I don't know, I think teams need to understand, it's okay to be angry at messing up with something, but just don't don't flame about it, but just go to your team and say, this is what I'm angry that we did this, and we can't do this again. And a normal team, I don't know if this is just something exclusive to us since we're friends, but we don't take that to heart. And I feel like teams need to be able to do that. You made a mistake, we have to fix this. Let's do this instead. I think that would be my biggest tip to teams, that you have to improve on those mistakes.
I also feel like the look for team page is kind of a bait. I mean, that just means that they haven't had fully played with each other yet and have not built trust, that trust is the number one thing that our team had. Trust is what we did, trust on each other, our plays, our calls. We just had so much trust. So I would say for teams also, just have trust in one another. If you think they are good, if you think you've played with them enough, just trust their calls, just follow them.
Yeah, trust is definitely a big one, because I mean, I can't remember countless games where one of us will say, trust me on this call. It sounds crazy, but trust me, we can definitely do this, and we can definitely cause a bigger victory. And then once that plan works out and everyone's able to realize that it one builds a bond. But if it doesn't work out for some reason, it's not like we're gonna jump on that person. We try to figure out another way to either A, come back, or try to rewatch what we did that went wrong, even though it potentially it could have worked out. I mean, it's a lot of trial and error, and it's just trust and trial and error.
Yeah, I think that kind of example of that would be I think it was the middle of the season, probably 6 or 7 games in. We sat down and we're like, we should probably pick someone to be our actual shot caller. We need to actually have someone, and none of us were we don't really want to do that, because we don't want to be that person who gets ousted for making a bad call. But then we still had to go through with it. And even if we made a bad call, that was just something that would help us later when we're making crazy moves around the map. I think the my biggest tip, transitioning there, is knowing what you can do with your champion and as a team together, having that self-evaluation and know your limit, understanding how much damage your champion does, understanding what the lanes are doing at that same time. I think that's the biggest part of your playing as a team, because then you can revolutionize what you're actually doing on the map instead of just playing with that solo queue mindset. Now you've got all this knowledge that you've got the lanes pushing, how much damage you can do, if you can take a play in the jungle or stuff, and then that just opens up a lot of possibilities with how to win a game instead of just what you would normally think. So overall, just know what you can do.
All right. What is there to do now? You know, like what is there left for you all to continue on? I mean, I'm pretty sure there are higher levels, but what do you all think about it?
I feel like we played so much competitive that we just want to have a break, have a chill time. I'm sure everyone in the team can agree that it's been tough the past like 3-4 splits, and we just want some time to like, I don't know, reflect on what have we done, climb, I guess.
I mean, we'll probably play in summer.
Yeah.
I just want to get better.
I want to get better.
I still don't think we're at our final form. I think that, as well as we did this time, there were so many mistakes that, we've already talked about that we made. It wasn't always necessarily a loss that was a mistake, but there were still mistakes in games that we won. And, if we can fix all of those and improve our individual skill, I just want to actually move on to, if we go to the Academy League, and not be, the team that thought they could play well because they won Novice. I want to actually be a team that, we look ahead and actually go forward with our player skill.
I guess you see that a lot, right? Where we have Iceborne Winners Q, and then we had not MG or Kimball. They didn't touch on it because in Academy, you don't ever offer up a 2,000 goal lead in Academy. They will run with it. Like, my god, it's crazy over there. But go on. Sorry.
I just definitely think that there's a lot that we can do individually that we still have room to do. Like, I definitely think that every single one of our players still has so much room to improve, and I really, really want to be able to do that instead of, we go to Academy and we flop. I want to be the team that continues to read up on every single patch, do our own, we analyze the patches ourselves. We look what is going to be good, what is going to be bad. Like, I would love if we could be, one of the first people before pros even do it, figure out this is going to be good. I'm looking at the numbers. This is going to be good. And we did have a few of those this split where, like, without any, outside intervention, some of us went to a patch and we're like, oh, this is going to make the champion super, super strong, and it's going to be massive in the next few patches. We missed some, like the Tristana. I didn't even see that coming. But, sometimes like the Senna, we didn't play it a whole lot, but like as soon as our team saw that Senna change a while back, like we instantly knew that was going to make the champion like top 3. And I want to be able to like look at this kind of stuff outside of game as well, because there's not much you can do inside of game, on like a day-by-day basis to improve. But I think there's a lot you can do to like strengthen your knowledge of the game. And I think that's what I want to continue doing as we move on.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Also, I feel like us now would definitely beat Iceborne back then.
Yeah. I want a rematch. The blood match.
Wherever they may be, I did hear that they're trying to make their way into PRO again. Not sure where. Maybe Academy again, or Novice. But they had to drop a couple of their original players to be able to get in.
Original players.
All of them?
Yeah.
Honestly,
All of them hit
I would
diamond.
love a rematch against the original squad.
Yeah. I went and scoured the OPI GGs of all of them, and every single member of their team had hit Diamond 3 to Diamond 2. I think Daltog even hit Diamond 1. So I still want a rematch against them. Like we were saying earlier, I think solo queue skill and team play are two different things, and remembering how they played, I think we would be a good matchup against them. I'm so sad that we lost that still, but oh man, I want a rematch so bad.
Daltog he hit Masters. He was
did?
Masters for a few days. Yeah, he was Masters for a few days.
Nice.
Wow.
That's really cool. That is really cool because I think
He was
everyone
a
could
really
do that.
good player. He was a really, really good. He was probably the toughest. He'd still give me a challenge now. Like I'd probably still be sweating in my jungle if I was up against him. But it'd be a good matchup.
That's honestly all it takes. You play through a tournament, you find your ambition and determination, and you can hit your highest highs. That's really a thing. Majdu, do you have any last thoughts from you?
I think we talked about a lot that like we kind of covered pretty much all of like the good aspects of what we played and like some of our mistakes and other people in the league. I think overall it was a fun league. People in PRL are pretty nice.
Yep.
Bar a couple of them who called me like dog poop, but what are you gonna do?
You're gonna non-factor, Majna. You're a non.
Yeah,
Non-factor mid
I'm a
lane.
non-factor mid lane. And then I went ahead and
Piero's the only community we actually stuck around because the community is just so nice. Like everyone, it's just a community pretty much. Like everyone is friends with each other. It's literally like a league.
I do want to say I have high hopes for our team, whatever we continue to brand ourselves as, because we started out in a gold league, and we did make it to playoffs in the gold league, but we decided to drop out. But like just where we've come from, like before, when we started joining tournaments, most of us were gold players. You know, I don't think Majni was on the team at the time. We had instead we had
Insomnia.
We had Sag 5, which was with Cosmic last time. So
right, my bad.
the difference back then, you know, we were a gold team, but we still struggled in a lot of our games. There's still one hilarious YouTube video that I have saved of that one tournament game where I am playing atrociously, and I remember when I saved it, I was like, oh, I'm the best player, I'm the best top in the league. Like, I just remember stuff like that and how we've progressed, because then we went to certain other tournaments and we just didn't do as well, and since then, like, we're the strongest we've ever been. And I really, really hope to continue that trend, because, you know, starting at that gold league and now we're trying to shoot for a diamond to master league, I really actually want to be able to, like, you know, compete in that league and not be one of the lower batch teams. That's what I want for the future.
Yeah, we're planning on going professional here soon.
You know, we're gonna start a pro team.
Yeah, we're gonna head up LCS.
Don't make dreams be dreams, okay? Don't let dreams be dreams, guys. I mean, if you put in the hard work, the focus, but mostly the mentality. You know, it's really a thinking game more than just playing it off of the reflexes that you got there. But you know, if that is it, I'd like to thank you all once again. You know, big shout outs to you all, Grant McDonald, Germican, Zyro, Majnu, to Smash Barn. Congratulations once again on this splits, like winter champions. Not since you guys aren't going to be coming back, that means there is no defending champion for the next. Don't know who will be our next champions. It could be Dorado, could be Noble. No one's talking about Noble, but I think they did absolutely good at the very end. And death cards, not sure who they got for their mid laner now, but you know, definitely some changes coming up, and some storm is brewing. So once again, thank you all so much, and hopefully you all enjoyed on this podcast. I'm gonna be aiming to do more. Please let me know, please hit me up, don't be afraid to direct message me. You know, try not to ping me too much, come on. I don't need to be pinged that much. You could just direct message me. You know, I'm still looking for journalists or writers entirely. But other than that, thank you guys so much. Make sure you know, support the extra content through our Patreon. You can also use the Twitch channel as well with the Twitch subscriptions. But Patreon is going to be the main thing for us in the Phoenix Rising League that we want to you know, help out and or actually need help from, to be able to boost the content creators that we are going to be getting for you all. So thank you all so much. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the improvements that we have so far, and we'll see you all later. Thank you all so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm cutting dice. Look at these eyes. They're not here to please you. There was a time you could be mine before all that you put me through. I knew that you were trouble, but I let that you were bad. I'm living in this bubble and it makes you so mad. You can say hello, but I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like. You can watch me go, 'cause I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like. You can say hello, but I don't need you to like me. Don't need you to like me.